Thinking about co-owning property through your SMSF? Joint ownership comes with complex legal frameworks and compliance traps that can catch even experienced trustees off guard. In this video, we break down exactly what you need to know before signing on the dotted line. Let's get into it.
Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something pretty exciting. Using your self-managed super fund, your SMSF, to team up and snag a much bigger investment property. It's a seriously powerful idea, but, and this is a big but, the rules are incredibly strict, and the stakes, well, they're sky high. A lot of us are always looking for ways to make our super work harder, right? Especially when it comes to property. And there's this one strategy that keeps popping up, gaining a whole lot of attention for how it can potentially unlock those much bigger, higher value assets. And the idea behind it is actually pretty simple. It's all about pooling your SMSF's resources with a partner. Now, that could be another person, it could be a company, and by doing that, you can suddenly aim for properties that, let's be honest, your fund just couldn't touch on its own. Okay, but here is the massive catch. This is not a simple investment, not by a long shot. It's all wrapped up in this web of super strict regulations from the ATO. And the penalties if you mess up, they are severe. So let's make sure we get this right, shall we? All right, so let's dive right in. First up, let's talk about the dream. What's the core appeal here? Why are so many trustees even looking at these joint ownership setups to begin with? Well, the appeal is, it's pretty powerful. You can see why it's tempting. You, as the trustee, you get direct control over where the money goes. By teaming up, you suddenly have more buying power, right? Enough to get into those higher value assets. And on top of that, there's some pretty significant potential tax advantages, all while you're adding a solid property to your retirement portfolio. What's not to like? So how do you actually put one of these partnerships together? Let's get into the structure, because honestly, the structure is everything. It's what keeps you compliant, and it's what protects your hard-earned assets. Okay, so the most common and really the most suitable structure for an SMSF is what's called tenants in common. It's pretty straightforward, really. Your SMSF owns a specific, legally defined chunk of the property, say 50% or 70%, and your partner owns the rest. This crystal clear separation, it's absolutely vital to stay on the right side of the rules. Now, this is where it gets really interesting, especially when you compare it to joint tenancy. With joint tenancy, if one owner passes away, their share just automatically goes to the surviving owner. But with tenants in common, and this is the crucial part for super funds, your SMSF share stays in the fund. It remains a super asset. And that is absolutely critical for this whole thing to be a compliant investment in the first place. Okay, what if you need to borrow money to get the deal done? Well, this is where things get a little more complex. The law is very clear. You have to use something called a limited recourse borrowing arrangement, or an LRBA. Think of it like a firewall. It quarantines the loan, making sure that if things go south, the lender can only go after that specific property. The rest of your retirement savings, they're safe and sound. All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty. The rule book. This is where so many trustees get tripped up. And you've got to understand, the ATO watches these arrangements like a hawk. Here it is, the absolute cornerstone of compliance, the arm's length rule. It's a simple idea, really. Every single part of the deal, everything, from the price you pay to the rent you charge, it all has to be at a fair market rate. It has to look and feel exactly like a normal commercial transaction between two people who have never met before. Now, there's a big exception to the rule that you can't buy assets from yourself or someone related to you, and this exception is called business real property. We're basically talking about a commercial property here. Think an office, a factory, maybe a retail shop. And this is a perfect example of just how strict the conditions are. So can your SMSF buy your own business premises from you? Yes, it can. But it has to be used wholly and exclusively for business. The price has to be bang on market value. The whole deal has to be commercially sound. There are absolutely no special deals, no mates rates, zero. So, what happens if you get this wrong? What's the worst that can happen? Well, if you break these rules and the ATO decides your fund is non-complying, they can tax your fund's assets at, get this, a staggering 45%. That's a penalty designed to completely vaporize any benefit you ever thought you were getting. So, how on earth do you avoid these massive pitfalls? Well, there is one document that is absolutely 100% non-negotiable, and that is a solid, robust co-ownership agreement. Honestly,
This is the perfect way to think about it. It's your roadmap. It's your safeguard. It spells out all the rights, all the roles, and all the responsibilities for everyone involved before a single dollar even changes hands.
See, a properly drafted agreement, it forces you to have those tough conversations right at the start. What happens if one partner wants out? How do we split the bill for a new roof? Who gets the final say on a new tenant? Getting all of this down on paper protects everyone. And it's what makes sure the investment actually runs smoothly down the track.
Okay, so are you feeling ready to maybe explore this a little bit further? Well, here is a final checklist to make sure you stay on the straight and narrow.
Look, this is not a DIY project. You have to treat every single step with care. Number 1, start with expert advice. Talk to lawyers, accountants, advisors who live and breathe SMSFs. Choose your co-owners very carefully. Make sure you're on the same page. And please do not move forward without that professionally drafted agreement locked in. After that, it's all about rigorous due diligence, planning for all the what-ifs, and documenting absolutely everything. Seriously, follow these steps, and you've got a much better chance of turning this complex opportunity into a really successful part of your retirement strategy. And that's really what this all boils down to, isn't it? An SMSF joint property ownership. It offers this incredible potential to build wealth for your retirement, but it demands an equal, completely non-negotiable amount of diligence and respect for the rules. So this is the key question you have to ask yourself. Is your retirement strategy really built to seize this kind of opportunity and manage the risk that comes with it? Because in the world of SMSF investing, managing that risk is how you truly seize the opportunity. Thanks for joining us.